Hey everyone, and welcome to Akash Byju's. And I am so thrilled to tell you that we've had a hat trick of scores this year. At the NEET 2021, we have all three All India ranked number ones. And I must say, it's not only a moment of pride and honor for us, but also an opportunity for us to introduce you to these super special kids and for you to be able to learn from them. So let me introduce to you Mrinal and Kartika. Hey Mrinal, hey Kartika.
Hello, hi, thank you for having me here.
Thank you for having me here.
And huge congratulations. I'm sure you're not getting over this. 720 on 720. How did this happen?
Um, if it comes to a perfect score, I feel like there is some role of luck. In the sense, like you can prepare as much as you want, but everyone has like a few weak chapters, a few weak topics, and if by chance more questions come from that, then that's not a good situation to be in. So I feel like, aside from preparation, I've had a little bit of luck on my side that, if I took a few guesses here and there in the exam, it worked out for me. So I think the having the right mixture of a good preparation and good luck is what helped me with my score.
Yeah, good preparation and good luck always helps. Let me talk to Kartika and find out what she feels about her 720.
So basically 720, yes, it had always been my target, but I never really imagined I would get it. Because 720 is something like you just have a lot of luck in it. So I never thought I'd get that luck on the exam day, but luckily I did. So I'm feeling very happy right now.
Yeah, it's modest of them to say a lot of luck, but as they always say, the harder you work, the luckier you get. So let's talk about the hard work part of it. Mrinal, share with us what were your preparation strategies, what worked for you?
I didn't have like a fixed preparation strategy because I never could follow a fixed preparation strategy. I've tried making timetables. They don't work for me, so I stopped doing that. I tried to set a daily target in mind, like these lessons I have to finish or these many questions I have to try solving. And then I figured out during the day how I'm going to achieve that. And I think not just preparation, I felt like I balanced it out with hobbies, my interests, and all. So that if you have like a right balance of both, not only are you well prepared, but you're also happy. And it goes without saying that if you're happy, then you're in the right frame of mind to apply everything you've learned and then reproduce that on the day of the exam. So I feel like having a good mix of both was what helped me.
Amazing. I've met a lot of toppers, and most of them talk about the rigor, the schedule, the timetable, and how it's inflexible. Don't follow your hobbies, get rid of your phone. But it's heartening to meet someone who says that I did none of those, and I found that perfect balance. Let's ask Kartika what she has to say about this.
So I never really made a timetable for most of my preparation. Like only in the last 6 months, I had to list out what I had to do for the day, and I didn't usually follow most of those, but I did try to follow them. And then it's not like I was a bookworm or anything. I always did other activities as well, and I can't study for a lot of hours in a single stretch. But yes. I think everyone should focus on their weak areas during preparation and work hard to strengthen those areas.
Okay, so talk about the Akash program and how that helped you to prepare well.
There's a lot I can say about the Akash program really. Like right from the material, the study material they provide, it's quite comprehensive and it actually prepares you for exams of a level somewhat higher than NEET also. So if you have that level of confidence in your own concepts, then you in the exam you feel calm and equipped to face the exam no matter what level the paper is at. That's one thing. And then towards the end they make us practice a great number of mock tests. And the thing with mock tests is like it's not just about the marks that you get, it's about getting into the zone of writing exams every day. If you write exams every day, it kind of becomes inbuilt in you that you know how to approach the exam, how to tackle a new question in the exam, something that you're not familiar with, how much time can you spend on it, and at what point should you stop wasting time on that and move on. There are lots of things that can happen on the exam day, and if you face a new situation, it unsettles you, and once you're thrown off balance, it takes a while to get back on track. So the thing with mock tests is it makes you as prepared as possible to attempt an exam of this level. So really it was a very well-rounded preparation schedule and strategy that they had.
Fantastic. I see the elements of luck coming in here. Studying at a level higher than what is expected and doing a mock test every single day and then evaluating yourself in terms of what goes right and what goes wrong. Let's see what Kartika did to make her success.
So basically, like, yes, mock test did play a very important role because, a month or two before the exam, I used to write a test every day. That helped me to make my own strategy on, how I'm supposed to write the exam on the main day. And also, how much time should I allow to each subject, at what point of time should I start marking on the OMR sheet. And then, to evaluate where do I stand in front of others. And I must, appreciate the competitive environment that I received here in Akash Byju's because, when you know someone else is scoring more than you, you have that, that rigor or that zest in you to, yes, even I can get that score. That helped really. That really helped a lot.
Yeah, the peer group, the competition, and tell me, what was it that, during the COVID, for example, you probably couldn't go to the classroom sessions. How did you cope with that, and how did you get the competitive spirit going at that time sitting at home?
The transition was huge from offline to online. In online classes, you don't have your friends around. You're not having your teacher directly in front of you. So that made learning subjects like physics difficult. But yes, you don't have any other choice and you have to do it. And yes, our teachers helped a lot because, they were so determined to help us understand even in the online classes. And looking at their determination, even we would feel determined to study. So that helped a lot. And I must say that the teachers, they helped a lot during this transition.
Fantastic. That is so good to hear that someone is there behind you, like there's a little shoulder behind you that you can always lean on. Mrinal, how was your experience in this transition during the pandemic?
I mean, in the beginning, particularly, it was quite difficult for me because I find that. I mean, I've understood that it's very easy for me to get distracted from what I'm doing. So the beginning, the beginning 1 month or so was hard, but after that, once I figured out that this is going to be the way of life going forward. So once that realization set in, and obviously with the support of all my teachers who did their best, like whatever was humanly possible to make the online experience as close to offline experience, they did everything that could be done. So I think with all that, with time, after a short sort of adjustment period, I think thanks to their help, I was back to my usual efficiency. So for that, I have them to thank.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. Now I'm going to ask them a question. A lot of us say what we should do. How about we talk about what we shouldn't do? So the question I'm going to ask you is, if there's one thing that they probably go wrong in or they do which they shouldn't, what would you say that one thing is most commonly for a lot of students?
So I think you should stay away from something you just can't get over it. Like for example, I had the habit of taking up a book and not putting it down until it's finished. So I gave up reading during my preparation. So you should understand. Like for example, if you're very addicted to social media, give it up. Because some things are more important than others. So that's what I would suggest. Like find out what you are addicted to and accordingly just get over it.
Find your weakness, find your attachment, and get over it, is what you're saying. Mrinal, what about you?
One piece of advice, this is something I've got from all my teachers, and it may sound a little counterproductive. Like I've had 6 teachers in 4 years, 2 for physics, Prabhakar sir, Priyank sir, 1 in chemistry, Karunakar sir, 1 in botany, Nageshwar Rao sir, and 2 in zoology, Vijay Kumar sir and Yasmin ma'am. They've all had different teaching styles, but one thing they ensured for all students was that we understood that this is an exam. Like it's an exam where if you can clear it, it will open a lot of avenues and opportunities in life, true, but it's not the end of the world if you can't make it. So one thing that they always ensured we understood was, while it's an important exam, it's not the end or even beginning of life really. You are going to have so many other opportunities in life, and this is not the end and all of even medicine as a career really. So what that kind of helped us not get bogged down by the stakes, by everything that's at stake, because if you start thinking about everything that you stand to gain or lose from this exam, if you start thinking about that, it's very easy to get really bogged down under all these stress, pressure, expectation so much. So I think that was one thing that they told me that I shouldn't do, and that's one thing that really helped me, because it's very important for your peace and mental happiness actually, not thinking too much about it. So that's one thing I'd say was is one thing no one should do during these 2 or more years.
Yeah, huge respect for teachers at Akash Byju's to do that truthfully, because there's a tendency to sort of get competitive. There's a tendency to, for all of us to say that, the only thing that matters is that 720, but perspective, and to say, look, life is very long. This is not the end of the road. By the way, was this your first attempt for both of you?
Yes.
Yeah.
So at the first attempt, clearly this is not the end of the road, and it is wonderful that they could do it. But if for any one of you, you're feeling, you want to learn something from them, is that perspective, the balance, and saying, hey, you know what, I can do it, and even if I can't, I'm going to come back and try again. Now, finally, I'm going to ask them this question about what next. So we've spoken about specializations. I know you both are going to become fantastic doctors, but have you had a thought about which area? I mean, have you sort of contemplated on which specialization by any chance?
Like, I'd love to take a specialization in oncology, but yeah, I'd love to explore other fields as well.
For me, something in surgery, because I do think it's the coolest part of medicine, most interesting, most hands-on part of medicine. So maybe something in surgery. This is all subject to change, but based on what I know about medicine now, I think that's where I'd be interested.
So if any one of you in future is looking for this rocking oncologist, I hope you never need one, and a super specialist surgeon, and I hope you never need him either, then you know whom to contact in future. But thank you so much for being with us. Congratulations once again, and wish you both an amazing future. May you shine forever.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, and tune in for more.